All right. And we're live. Welcome, everybody, to Nerd Side Champs over here on Nerd Champs. I am Dan. Right next to me is Tim. Subscribe to at Nerd Champs. We got the Charlie Cox, the Vincent D'Onofrio. We got Daredevil, Born Again, episode 2 that we're talking about tonight. And we have Darren from the M6P.
Darren, just in time.
Have we started?
Yep,
we just started, man.
We just started. I was welcoming people on.
It's all good.
All right, cool. Let's go.
And I was going to say, if you're over from Bone Bridger on Tuesday, if you watched us review episode 1 with Bone Bridger on Tuesday, Bone Bridger has been up with the baby for days, so he may or may not be dropping in. We are unsure, but regardless, we are going to cover episode 2 like we talked about on Tuesday. So we got a lot of comments in the queue. We're going to break down what we thought about episode 2, but before we get started on the episode proper, now I don't have I'm a one-screen operation. We're not as advanced as the Bone Bridger here, but I do have something that I want to show to you guys and get a little bit of a reaction to. This was on Pink Villa. Headline: Eldon Henson and Deborah Ann Wool. For those of you who don't know, that is Foggy and Karen Page join cast of Daredevil Born Again season 2 to reprise their roles as Foggy and Karen. And one thing that I want to point out, the reason why I got this Pink Villa article isn't because I even know who Pink Villa is, but if you look at when this was released, when it was first published, it was the 5th at whatever that says, like 8 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So that's 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So what I think is interesting about that is Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, Marvel drops a 2-hour Daredevil Born Again season premiere. So it's not over till 11 p.m. Eastern. 4 hours later, in the first 10 minutes, Foggy's dead. Within 4 hours minimum, it's on the internet that he'll be back for season 2. And by noon, on Wednesday, it was everywhere. Every outlet was telling us that Foggy would be back. What do you guys make of A, that he is coming back, and B, that they felt the need to tell everybody he was coming back before the proverbial fictional body was even cold?
It's pretty clear, right? I mean, this is Disney Plus's mantra: is they've got to do a ton of flashbacks, and so this is basically what we know we're going to get out of the next season. Is there's going to be an inordinate amount of flashbacks that go back years and years. So that's all that it really is, and that's all that it really can be, as far as I'm concerned, because it's pretty clear that he's like DED dead. Like he's dead.
Darren,
he's dead.
Darren, do you have a different theory of what they might be doing with him in season 2, or do you think it's going to be just flashbacks?
No, I agree with Tim. I mean, he's dead. He's dead. He's coming back for season 2. I mean, Disney likes to recycle characters and actresses. We know that.
Yeah,
that's what's happening here.
They do.
Now, I did read somewhere, and I'm not familiar with the storyline. Maybe you guys are, that Foggy faked his death at one time in the comics. Do you guys know that storyline?
Man, I'm sure Jared does. Yeah, I'm sure Jared does, but I have no idea.
You don't know that one?
Not a right offhand. I'm sure everybody's faked their death in Marvel at some point.
Well, we all know the old mantra that in Marvel nobody's really dead except for Uncle Ben, right? So that's that's the old mantra. So I mean, maybe they could RoboCop him up into something as well or something. I don't know, but I don't see a situation in which they actually bring the character back, knowing what they had to do to get the character back in the first place. This rewrite that essentially was just kind of this first episode and kind of changing a few things here and there throughout the course of what they already planned to do. I don't know that they're going to have the pull to actually do something like that now. So I mean, we'll see, but I just don't. I'll never say never in Marvel, but he appears to be very dead.
It maybe we could do some like, I don't know if you guys ever watched Rescue Me with Dennis Leary, where he spends most of the show talking to his dead what was it, his cousin or something that was also a firefighter, It was his best friend, so maybe he could be talking to dead Foggy for most of the next
that's
season.
Right.
You know?
That's right. I mean, we had Alec Guinness show up for 2 movies after he died, right? I mean, there's a lot of situations that we've seen before where that happened. In The Walking Dead, this was very popular, right? In The Walking Dead, they not only did the flashbacks, they also did the ghost conversation type stuff. And so, yeah, this is definitely something that would be a possibility.
Are you guys glad that we're not going to have to see Eldon Henson in a What If series?
Oh God!
I sure am.
No, I don't need to see.
I like Eldon Henson too, man. Mighty Ducks. I get it.
Here's the thing. Or will we? You know what I mean? Or will we? That's the thing. Because
now,
here's the thing.
After that last reception, I mean, they got to be done with what ifs at this point. I mean, basically the whole universe, like the whole MCU is a giant what if now because we're jumping timelines, we're jumping realities. So if everything's a what if, then why do you need a show called What If? Right? I mean, does it matter?
Yeah.
Like,
well, but at this, I mean, now that he's been introduced, I mean, stranger things have been introduced. I mean, I guess the only problem with it would be you would have to come up with some kind of a storyline like, what if Bullseye missed? Well, Bullseye doesn't miss. That's like the nature of his character. So I don't know. That would have to be the only thing. But yeah, I mean, I agree. That
my
would be
other question though.
They wouldn't
not
do that.
great.
They would have him going to a school dance with an iguana or something like that, or like how Darcy had an egg with a dove.
Oh yeah. He
ridiculous. Marvel Comics,
he would fall in love with Ajax or something. It would be terrible. Anyway.
All right. We went off on a rant.
What do we make? But what do we make of Disney Marvel's need to not only bring him back, but to tell everyone he's coming back within 3 or 4 hours of him dying on the show? Like what, are they hedging their bets?
I think that they know that the rumors about the early screenings and the rewrites and all of that stuff were really, really bad. But when they mentioned that they had brought Deborah Ann Woll and Eldon Henson back, it was one of those things that got the fans excited again, because we all of a sudden were tangentially connecting everything to those Netflix series that everybody loved. So that's why I think they're trying to release this now. They're trying to say, hey, he's coming back again. But I mean, there's only a limited number of things that he could possibly be doing. So that's just the reality of it. With the character dying, there's only a limited number of things he could do.
So yeah, I think they were hedging. I think they're trying to let people think, oh, maybe he's not, because I think people got excited because they were there, and then you kill him right away. So people are kind of iffy on the series now. They dangle this out there. They're dangling keys. But anyway, before we dive right into season 2 and or episode 2, and some of these comments, I did miss one thing on episode 1, which is, how do you guys think Bullseye survived getting thrown head first from that roof? Like he was getting up in the scene, like he was conscious, and it looked like he was going to stand back up, and like. Bullseye's not Deadpool. He's not Wolverine. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did he survive that?
Because Disney made it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do think that they've hinted on Disney Plus, especially at several regenerating individuals. They mentioned that in She-Hulk as well. So there have been there's been a lot of interest in that kind of thing. And of course, we saw Deadpool and Wolverine. I just feel like that's a wrinkle that they kind of threw in there as something that they were hoping that they could just kind of build off of. Because now Bullseye in prison, that doesn't last very long. We all know that. I mean, there are way too many things in prison that Bullseye can use as a weapon against anybody. So I'm definitely not writing that off just yet. But yeah, it was a very interesting thing. It was almost like Michael Myers. I mentioned this last week. It was almost like Michael Myers, like he was down and Karen was looking at him, and then he just started to stand up again, like the Undertaker just sitting up, behind John Cena. It was crazy. So yeah, that is something that was very interesting.
So yeah, now high falls are now exactly as fatal as lightsaber stabbings. As long as it happens on Disney Plus. It's all Looney Tunes rules, right? If you go off, you run off the side of a cliff, as long as you don't look down, you could just keep going. That kind of thing, right? So anyway, let's jump into the comments, and that'll help lead our conversation on episode 2. So John So knows nothing. Daredevil is not awful so far. I do think they need to transition away from Fisk, and all indications are that they will. So what do we think about that?
Yeah, I mean, the main villain hasn't even really been introduced, right? I mean, Muse is the main villain of this season. And so
wait, are we sure on that? Are we sure on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think they announced it, but I mean, who knows? There are so many things that I see already. I see Bullseye, I see Muse, I see Fisk. There's just so much going on. And then it's like the whole police force because of what's going on with the White Tiger in this episode. So there's like 4 villains, if you want to look at it that way right now. It's kind of weird and busy, but yeah, I do think that they'll transition kind of a little away from Fisk. And I think they kind of have set that up like the diner. It's like, hey, I'll be here just in case you screw up, but I'm aware that you're here, kind of thing.
I feel like Fisk is as much a lead on this show as Daredevil is.
Me too.
Like he's not just the bad guy, right?
He's the parallel, and but the thing about it is, like, and I've always liked D'Onofrio's playing Kingpin. I know a lot of people don't, but I too.
I have too.
I've always thought, but in the Netflix series, ever since he's gotten played the Kingpin in Disney, Hawkeye and all that stuff, I just have not enjoyed it. But to Jon Snow knows nothing one's point, I do think Daredevil's a little awful so far. And I'm the biggest Daredevil fan out there, and it pains me to say that, but I look for it. I'm not. We'll get into that later, I'm sure. But I do think that they need to transition away. Like I was getting really bored watching the Kingpin's parts in this. I'll leave it at that. I was like, oh, here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a bad guy, or he's a bad guy, not acting like a bad guy, even though we know what's gonna turn out by the end of the show. So all right.
Well, and this is it's starting to look like Tuesday night. Bone Bridger brought up that review from Screen Rant, raving about the series, and they had whoever the reviewer was had seen the whole series and said, "Oh, this is wonderful because it's a legal procedural."
Yeah,
it's feeling like a legal procedural, guys.
And
after this episode,
they said it was far and away better than season 1 of the Netflix series, which is just, I mean, that's something that had like a 99% Rotten Tomatoes score. You just can't say that unless it's like the Citizen Kane of TV series. I mean, you can't say that. So I don't know. I have a feeling that it's going to kind of fall. It's going to end up falling like a lot of the other Disney Plus shows where we say, hey, it was okay, but not great. That's what we're going to say, because that's what Marvel does now.
2 episodes in, I've enjoyed both episodes, right? But I feel like they've set up the structure for the whole season to play like a really long episode of Matlock. You know what I'm saying? There's only going to be one case, so this is going to be Monk, the Minimalist, Matlock. There's going to be a courtroom thing. There's going to be a case. And we just got joined by Jason. Jason is here.
Jason, what's up?
Hey, Jason. Jason just got done watching.
Literally, he just screamed into the camera.
And now let's move on to our next comment. What do we got? I think episode 2 had pacing issues. I do think the trial of the White Tiger is a weird direction to go. So
I think that's correct.
That's kind of playing into what I was saying. Yeah. So Jason, what do you feel like? I don't know if you saw Tuesday. We've read a review that said that the whole series plays out like a legal procedural, like Law and Order or something.
I love Law and Order. So
Well, then watch Law and Order and let Daredevil fans watch Daredevil. That's that's usually the rule there. But
I do have multiple questions though.
Okay.
Because I think after Defenders, I stopped watching all the Netflix shows because I just hated Defenders.
Yeah,
that's a popular reaction.
I like. All right.
Like, was White Tiger in there before? Like,
no. That's totally definitely a new ad. That's a new ad for sure.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I like how they're giving us White Tiger. This is such a show for guys that are like deeply into the lore, nerds like us, because they're talking about White Tiger's power set as if the whole world is familiar with the idea that if he's not wearing the amulet, he doesn't have powers.
Yeah, I know.
I know what his powers are. I love how they just like glaze over, like, hey, he doesn't have the amulet, and everybody's sitting at home like, yeah, White Tiger needs that amulet.
Well, and White Tiger is one of those characters where I kind of feel like the one that I was more familiar with was like the Legacy one, right? Wasn't there like there was a female that took over, right?
Yeah, it's a daughter.
There was a female that. Yeah, there was a female that took over, and that's the one that I was familiar with. And so when I saw that they were doing, I was like, oh, they're like going to the original one, which I wasn't familiar with. So it was one of those very, very slimly known Marvel characters that they just kind of shoved in there. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
What did you guys think? Like in episode 1 with like, all right, we know Disney's going to be able to supposedly soup some of the CGI and things up like that. Like, when did Daredevil, and this goes back to like suddenly Falcon having Captain America's powers, when did Daredevil suddenly become Spider-Man?
Yeah.
You guys know those shots? I was like, wait a second. It was like, and I mean, they were trying to be comic panel accurate with some of the Daredevil stuff, but I was like, the way he was moving and stuff was like, did they just like, with video games, they use the same engine on certain games. Did they just use the same?
I will say, and we did talk about it a little bit on Tuesday night, but the CGI in the fight scenes is something that needs to be done away with. I don't need to see something that looks like PS4 graphics. You know what I mean? When I'm seeing the fight scenes, you've got actual actors that are actually good at this. You know what I mean? They've done it before. So I feel like the only reason they would have done that is some kind of constraint or conflict to not be able to get those two actors or stuntmen or whoever to do it. But I do feel like, I mean, I noticed that as well, Darren, and that's something that
I feel like the director was just really in love with the idea of these wide establishing shots showing you the whole roof. And it's like, but like the guys look like a video game. He's like, no, I need that shot. I need that shot. And they're like, but it costs a lot of money, and it looks way better when you're tight on the real people actually fighting. Yeah. He's like, nope, spend that money. We need the cartoon. We need to break from an actual fight to a cartoon and then back to an actual fight because reasons.
Well, and to Darren's point, the things that he's talking about, like when Daredevil like goes to take off, it reminds me of the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man, where he just like he goes like this, and then you just see him go off screen, and it's like it's a really bad generic special effect, and you're just thinking to yourself like you could have done something so much cooler than that than just this, and then you just get lifted off the ground. That's not like nobody believes that's how gravity works. And so I feel like they did a lot of that kind of stuff. And to his point, Daredevil, I mean, I like for all intents and purposes, he's just a really cool blind parkourist. Okay. He's not, he doesn't have the ability to like leap buildings, I don't know what was going on there, but yeah.
Like when Bullseye makes it to the roof. And now another thing about that fight, like I don't want to spend the whole time on episode 1 of that fight, but these two guys, like they're superhero level combatants, right? They're not super powered. They have no serums or anything, but they were gassed like really fast in that fight. They're both gasping for air and stopping like they've been fighting for like 20 or 30 minutes, but they've been fighting for like 2 minutes. So it's like,
yeah,
that was an odd direction, for them to be gassed like that. And yet, even though they're taking tons of damage, like they're getting stabbed in so many places in ways.
How many knives were in Daredevil?
Like at least 4. Like at least 4 were in Daredevil, and
like not even pulling them out, like.
Yeah, and which was odd because didn't he have going back to the Netflix series? Going back to Netflix series, didn't he have material that wasn't supposed to be able to be cut? I mean, I thought that was very interesting. I was like, weird. So there are a lot of things here that I didn't really understand about that. But once again, we don't need to spend the whole time on episode 1 on that fight. We did a lot of that on Tuesday, but I thought that was very interesting. So
the White Tiger, I love how we don't really establish him and everybody's supposed to just roll with it. Now, I've been doing a Spider-Man reread over the last couple years. I started at Amazing Spider-Man #1 because I've read Amazing Fantasy 15 like 100 times. So I started at 1, but like White Tiger was a big supporting cast member of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man in like the early 80s. So I've got my Hector stuff down. I don't know if the general public does. So, Jon Snow Does Nothing 1 was the creepy guy in the book signing line supposed to be Muse?
Yes, that was. I mean, that's the actor. That's the actor. I looked it up. As soon as I saw him on screen. I'm like, that's supposed.
Hunter. What's his last name? Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter
I forget. But I saw that too, and that was the first thing that popped in my mind. I was like, that's their introduction for Muse. So and knowing that he's already close to Daredevil, that's something that is going to be interesting. So yeah,
I feel like I have no familiarity with Muse. Does everybody else?
I don't either. Like
I don't either. Little, and I'm a Daredevil fan.
I told that to Jared today. I actually told that to Jared today. I said they haven't even really introduced Muse, and that's really what they were pumping up, like in all the promo stuff. So I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Know who Muse is? Do you know Muse?
I'm not aware of who that is.
No one knows.
Yeah. So like, we're all into this stuff, and none of us really know. I mean,
he's got that creepy mask. That's all I know. The creepy mask that looks like he's crying blood or something.
I mean, he looks like a kind of cool character that I might be into. Like, I'm interested to learn more. I'm seriously am because I know he's from the comics, but I just don't know much about
it. Let me come right back. I'm sorry.
All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
I feel like
it's all good, Jason. Go ahead.
I feel like Muse was probably going to be a bigger part of the original version of the show.
Yeah. I think so too.
I feel like he may be trimmed down when they redid this whole thing. Like back to our first comment, I think Fisk is definitely going to be the primary antagonist at this point.
For sure.
Thug Dog, they have third it very heavy with the idea that asking about Vanessa is a hot button. The campaign manager and the blogger both came close to crossing into bad territory. It will get someone killed.
Ooh, all right. I can see that happen, like where Kingpin loses his mind and just out of rage finally. That could be, I can see that be a turn.
You know who it's going to be? It's going to be that little brown-nosing campaign guy. That's who it's going to be.
James Gandolfini's son.
Yeah. Yes, that's the guy. Yes, that's the guy. That's the guy that's going to get it from Fisk by asking about Vanessa. Just watch.
Well, in the comics, like Kingpin will kill you just for mentioning her name. Like if you mention Vanessa, like in the wrong, like you're dead. But I did. This is another thing we skipped over in episode 1. We were talking about it. There was so much to talk about, and everybody was a little tired. Kingpin has been cucked. We have cucked Kingpin in Daredevil Born Again because his wife has had an affair while he was gone, and she gets to talk about it in veiled terms in their couples therapy, which is their
couples therapy. Anybody get Mr. and Mrs.
Let me tell you, anytime I hear about that in a Marvel show, I'm hooked. That's what I want to watch. What are they doing?
Yeah.
Did anybody get Mr. and Mrs. Smith vibes from that? That was very, it was very much.
Just
this is just one giant
Sopranos
show.
The Sopranos did
weird. Yeah, I don't need to know. I don't know if it was a good idea to have established that she's had an affair. I don't know if we need that. Now, one thing that was established, we had the blood on Kingpin's knuckles to start the episode. We never figure out what that is, but we ended the first episode with him promising Vanessa not to kill her new lover. And we opened this one, he's got blood on his knuckles. So maybe he's dead. Maybe he just got roughed up. I think that's from Vanessa's boyfriend, is what I'm thinking. Do you guys think so?
I think it's a little early to know for sure. I think that's a good theory. But do you guys know Kingpin's right-hand guy that keeps showing up and nobody knows who he is? The guy with the black hair and stuff?
Yeah. He was right behind Muse.
That's going to end up being Vanessa's lover.
Vanessa's lover is the right-hand man.
He was right behind the book signing line. He was
they're building him up a little bit, aren't they? They're building him up. He's always appearing and handling situations.
Yeah, he was at the book signing line. He set up the therapy session. I'm pretty sure he was set to do that. So they're talking about him.
Never know.
So it's just an odd direction to go with Vanessa, and I don't know. Let's move on to our next comment here. Who swears off being a superhero more, Spider-Man or Daredevil?
I think Spider-Man. I think it's Spider-Man that swears it off more.
They
both have sworn it off, but Spider-Man in the comics, it's like every 3 episodes, he's just like, I'm done with this. Every 3 issues. I mean,
50 issues around every 50 issues, he's got to throw the suit in the trash again.
And the difference is sometimes beating people up makes Daredevil feel better, even though he doesn't like to admit it. You can tell.
That I mean, they do. Like, one thing, Charlie Cox does a great job as Daredevil, and I think he has a feel for the character, even if the writers are missing a few things now. The fact that Daredevil doesn't want to be a violent person by nature, but then and Kingpin gets this. He is like Daredevil. He doesn't want to admit that he enjoys beating these people, but he very much does.
The end of episode 2 was like the perfect compilation of that. You could just, in the music and everything, the score, it came together so well with just him fighting and fighting and fighting not to just kill these 2 guys. And then he's just like, forget all that. And he just goes off and kills them. That's exactly what it is. Because like Darren said, at his core, it makes him feel better. So,
all right. Before we move on to the next comment, I want to throw out something because I just remembered it again. BB, the BB Urge.
Go ahead, Dan.
Now they've killed Ben, so I guess we need a journalist. But the scene in episode 2.
She's a TikToker, isn't she?
Yeah. She's making TikTok videos of it. And episode 2, she comes in and she's supposed to be our journalist character, our person on the street, our hard-hitting. She sits down in front of Kingpin and produces an info dump.
Yeah.
Where she tells him a bunch of stuff and asks him nothing. Like she just comes in to volunteer a bunch of information to him.
Keep in mind what had happened was that she was essentially hired in order to raise his profile and get him elected. And that's what we saw in the previous episode, that her blog is like what was spreading a lot of the like man on the street interview type stuff that was kind of raising his profile. So I'm getting the feel that she wasn't just a journalist. She was more of a consultant that was actually hired that can give statistics and data based on the viewership and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was a little interesting as well, Dan. I
felt like that campaign guy there though pulled some strings for her to get an interview. That's the way I read the scene.
Yes.
And like her interview is, hey, all this stuff is happening, and that doesn't even
and what's going on with your wife?
Right. Like, why is she giving him this big info dump if her question is about his wife? Yeah. Like, what is, you know, I think Jason is giving up. His internet are not
he
doing
might
good.
Be. He might be.
But I would say, let's move on. I did enjoy.
That was a good question. The last one there.
Yeah, I did enjoy the Spider-Man name check in episode 2. Where Kingpin, we don't need a guy
and the Punisher
dressed up as a spider or a dude with. Now that's another. Did you guys notice the tattoo on the cop?
Yeah, I noticed the picture somebody posted about it, but not actually watching it.
Yeah. And I know it was a skull of some kind. My wife said she went straight to Punisher. It didn't look like a Punisher skull to me, but I don't know. We'll see. Disney's feeble attempts at grit and grounded storyline are laughable. They are awful compared to Snyderverse. You guys will see eventually. Okay.
Who is this? This sounds awfully familiar.
Yeah.
This almost sounds like Jonathan, but it's not. No. I feel like, people love to have something that's a little more gritty and a little more violent and a little more R-rated, and I think that's fine. I do think that Disney needs to kind of pick a lane. I hate saying that, but they've gotten so engrossed in the idea that they need to serve so many different people when it comes to the genres and all the different things that they need to do. They're completely missing their key demographic. And I not that Daredevil isn't a gritty storyline, it is, but I don't think that they need to go as dark as the Netflix series. I think that they could have done something kind of in the middle and people would have appreciated it. Right now, I think they're trying too hard to replicate the Netflix series, and that's kind of their problem.
I think they're doing that, but I do think that, it's much brighter. Obviously, Disney's always brighter and everything like that. And to the dark and gritty point, Netflix was a little dark. So I was kind of excited, and I knew going into this that it was going to be a little bit brighter as far as like the whole tone of the thing. But they just didn't do it well. I don't think they did it well. They had every opportunity.
We're only 2 episodes in, so we'll see. But it's if what
kind
they
of
were
a dark
trying
character. That's the whole tone. If you go back through the history of the comic, granted,
it was their answer to Batman. That's what Daredevil was essentially like, their answer to Batman, and it's definitely considered darker. I just feel like in the universe that they've built, if they want to see a character that's going to go fluid with that universe, this really wasn't the one that they needed to do. And I don't know that they're doing a good job of replicating what Netflix had done.
Yeah,
I think they would have been better suited. I think they would have been better suited to maybe do their own thing, but then we end up with the She-Hulk stuff, which I hated. So I don't know. It's
every time they try to do a unique idea, it fails. So they keep recycling, like we talk about. Let's go recycle something that works or something, and then we'll ruin that too.
Yeah.
I will say, for my money, since we're there, nothing is ever worse than the Snyderverse. The Snyderverse tries to be dark and serious. And it's so very silly. It is so.
Yeah.
Stupidly.
I don't hate it too much. I'm not a huge proponent, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, it makes my skin crawl. It really does.
I
tried
the Snyderverse was just trying so hard to make everything so incredibly the tone, the color tones, and the camera shots.
I'll agree with you there, Snyder.
So overdone. And that's so overdone.
Yeah. I agree. That's not necessarily DC either. The way their style is, they're obviously much more bright. We're talking about bright stuff and things like that. But I get it. Where I thought they did it well. It was realistic, I guess. But all right, fair enough.
I jumped down to Jason. Jason wants to know, since his internet won't work, he wants to pop out there. How many episodes until he's back in the suit?
It's at least 3. I think we're at least 3 from the suit. I think. But
wow, so you get a flashback in 1.
Mm-hmm.
At the top of 1, you get 10 minutes of Daredevil, and then you don't get any more Daredevil until you're saying episode 6.
Yeah.
Wow.
At least, maybe even longer. Okay, we'll see.
Darren, are you okay with episode 6 for your first current day appearance?
I'm not okay with that. I think that's what.
No. I'm not okay with the first 2 episodes to begin with that much, but Yeah, I could see. I mean, it seems kind of crazy what Tim just said. There's 6, but then I start to think about it. I'm like, well, they had to chop this up real good and put it back together.
Well, and if you go back to season 1, if you go all the way back to season 1 of the Netflix series, he was hardly ever in the suit. Okay,
yeah,
and it almost became like the reveal that they wanted to do so bad.
Oh,
like
they're trying to redo
that was the hook. The hook week to week was, will he be in the suit this week? That was the hook. And so I feel like that's going to be it again. I feel like that's what they're going to do to get people to come back. Is he going to be in the suit yet? So
I feel like Daredevil season 1, the black suit that his homemade thing. I don't feel like we give enough props to that old Incredible Hulk TV special. You remember the Incredible Hulk TV special that had Thor and Daredevil? His black suit, his homemade black suit, looks just like the black suit that he wore in the Incredible Hulk TV special.
I think that's part of the reason they did that too. They're like, I mean, not the full reason, but they're like, might as well tie in this homage back to that.
Of course.
Yeah. I think it is a cool homage. I like that. So let's see. Jon Snow knows nothing. Mentions of Punisher and Spider-Man are setting up possible future conflicts with Kingpin, which I would like.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We are never going to get the ground level Spider-Man that we want. That's just they're not.
But Frank versus Kingpin, I'm in. Okay, if it's going to be Frank versus Kingpin in this special that they're going to do, I would love that. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, but I would love to see a ground level Spider-Man. And I just was thinking back. I think Homecoming is as ground level as we're ever going to get.
Yeah,
because it was relatively based on what they've done since. Homecoming was the Vulture was just stealing equipment.
Yeah,
it wasn't earth shattering.
It wasn't cosmic. Yeah,
it wasn't cosmic. It was the most ground level they're ever going to do with this Spider-Man, I guess.
Drives me nuts because that was a good movie, but Homecoming was okay. It was fine, but like Tom Holland's my least favorite Spider-Man. I'll say it.
See, he's my favorite. So Darren and I are disagreeing a lot tonight. So
Tim and I always agree usually on most stuff.
I think my favorite Peter Parker is Tobey Maguire. Yeah, and my favorite Spider-Man is Garfield.
Yeah. That's fair. I like
my favorite for both is Holland. I just feel like he nailed him, but
Garfield caught the wise assness of Spider-Man better than the other two have. He wisecracked way more. Holland did more wisecracking in Civil War than he has since. Like in the first introduction when he's talking about that old movie and it's Empire Strikes Back and stuff, and he's talking the whole time. That was the most wisecracking we've got out of him. But, let's see. Is the Daredevil storyline possibly too busy with Bullseye, Kingpin, and Muse?
And maybe the police force being on some kind of thing. So I mean, this is reminiscent of, and I know everybody cover your ears before I say it, Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's very, very much like Falcon and Winter Soldier, where you had Zemo, you had the Flag Smashers, you had Walker, there was just way too much going on. The Wakandans were there. There was all kinds of stuff that you had to like worry about, and I kind of feel like we're kind of pushing into that territory where we're only 2 episodes in, and we've already introduced possibly 4 villains. So it's going to be a very interesting thing.
I mean, Muse, if you didn't already know who was playing him, hasn't been.
You wouldn't even know. Yeah, exactly.
So this is what happens when you make 2 or 3 versions of something and then try to sew it into one thing, I guess.
And it's really sad. Captain America, the newest
Brave New
World, and then they were supposed to be 2 of the biggest properties coming up, and they were all chopped to bits and pieces before they even got to us, and redone, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and I've been all over the internet trolling because trolling is fun. It can be. And
Dan hasn't even seen them. He hasn't even seen the movie, but he knows how to poke at those. He knows how to poke at those who loved it. He knows how to poke at those who loved it really well. So
I will never see Brave New World. The highest praise I have received from an actual person that I know is a real person is it was nowhere near as awful as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's not praise.
That's but they say it in a tone like it is.
Or here's another one. Oh, it's not as bad as the rest, but it was okay. I'm like, that doesn't entice me to go watch it.
No. And I've been trolling people like crazy about the fact that you've got a whole host of Hulk villains in this Captain America movie. And it's like, you know what? No knock on Stam. Steve isn't ready to take on a host of Hulk villains. It's just that's not the villain you pick for your Captain American picture, because the Red Hulk is going to squash Steve like a bug, much less Sam with no serum. It doesn't. And then people are like, well, what you supposed to do? Because I'm making fun of the fact that he just talks him down. I made a meme where he's like, do better, giant rage monster.
We know. The whole do better thing.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. People are like, what's he supposed to do? It's like, he's not supposed to do anything. The Hulk shouldn't be in his movie.
Why don't you do better, Disney? Why don't you do better?
Yeah. Okay, we're into some. Let's see. We got any more?
This is all Reacher, I think.
These people are jumping ahead to Reacher. Let's see if we got any more Daredevil.
Oh, wow, I haven't started that one, but I love Reacher. I do. I just haven't started yet.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let me go down here and see if Jason's got some more for us. Pulling a Dark Knight Rises. Oh,
yeah. God. Yeah. Busy storyline. Yeah, that was definitely part of there. So, you had Talia al Ghul, you had Bane, and then you had all the villains that took over Gotham. There was just a lot going on there. So
people love the Dark Knight so much that we kind of gloss over the fact, and I love Batman Begins also, and a lot of people do too.
Yeah.
We gloss over how bad Dark Knight Rises was. We just try to forget it. We try to not talk about it.
It's still so much better than other movies, though.
Yeah, it is.
I still argue with Jonathan. I still argue with our good friend Jonathan about the voice. The voice, and we all know Bane's voice is the first time we all heard it. Every single one of us laughed hysterically. There is no way that we all sat here and said, "Are they serious right now?" That's the voice. I cannot believe that's the voice that they came up with. I still to this day.
I spent the whole film struggling mightily to understand what he was saying. Just trying to because it threw me so much and it was so muffled. I'm like, what? Wait a minute.
But now that's Bane's voice. That's what you remember.
Yeah.
It's so dumb, you know what I mean? And so anyway.
You know what? I will say at the time it felt like a huge letdown because it is no Dark Knight, but it is a lot better than anything in the DCEU by a wide margin. And
I liked it a lot better. I liked it a lot better than the Batman. I did. I mean, I liked it a lot better than that movie. So
it's better than anything Marvel's given us in a very long time. I would, right? I mean,
it is.
Yeah. So anyway, let me see if I had any more. Did you guys have any other overall observations about episode 2 or the whole Born Again as a whole?
No, I just think that I think I'd like to get to the story that they're actually wanting to tell. I don't think we're there yet, and I think that's the problem. I think they essentially did a 2-episode setup to kind of get us to the point where, okay, now he's kind of just killed 2 guys and he's back as Daredevil. So now we're kind of getting the story that they wanted to tell. But I'm very, very cautious because I don't, just because I like the first 2 episodes doesn't mean that I can't fall off a cliff, because I have before, right? I like the first 2 episodes of Secret Invasion, and then where was it, episode 3 or 4, when we saw that Rhodey was a Skrull and Samuel L. Jackson was married to a Skrull, and there was, it was just, everything was changed. The universe just changed.
We got not 1 but 2 Super Skrulls with all the powers of everybody.
And I just thought to myself, like, well, what am I watching now? So, things can start well and then go completely haywire. So I'm very cautious right now, but I'm still enjoying it at the moment. Okay, I think I'm a little more optimistic than Darren is, but I'm being very cautious, and at any point, I reserve the right to say this is terrible. So yes.
Good. I don't think they're going to figure out the story. To your point, I don't think they'll figure it out. I think it's just, I think there's going to be a lot of iconic moments. Maybe that's what they're trying to sell. But as an overall show or series, it's just all the Marvel stuff's gotten to be the same thing, no matter if it's a movie or the TV shows at this point I'm watching, and they all the same tone, the same feel, the same humor, the same everything. And it makes it just kind of boring. From maybe that's an a simplification of everything going on with them right now, but that's just kind of how it feels. It's just not very good.
Now, I will say where I'm at is that the 2 episodes I've gotten, I actually liked. I think the performances are still good. I've enjoyed Charlie Cox. I've enjoyed Vincent D'Onofrio. I think they're still doing good work. I'm looking forward to Punisher because I feel like he's always does good. But I do have qualms about what it's setting up, where the story is going, because they keep stacking more stuff, and we know because of the promotional material that they got even more stuff to stack.
That's right. Punisher has not been introduced. And we know he's coming. So
we've heard the name Punisher, but we haven't seen Punisher. We know he's in it. We know this Muse character is in it, but again, we don't know anything about Muse. So for all we know, Muse is there to fight the corrupt cops or something. Maybe he's deeply tied into that storyline. So if we knew more about Muse, maybe he's not a whole nother storyline. Maybe he ties in more closely to one of the ones we've gotten. That article in Screen Rant, combined with what we've seen with the legal wrangling about White Tiger, really has me. I feel like we might get this 10 episode Matlock, plot.
A Few Good Men. Yeah, it's going to be.
No, I don't feel
it's
like
going to be a really.
No, it's not that high. It's not A Few Good Men. It's Matlock. It's Matlock. We're down here. Murder, She Wrote, maybe. That's where we're at. His courtroom. Did he do it? Who did it? Who is this guy?
Yeah, stuff. Perry Mason. We're gonna go Perry Mason. Yeah, there we go. A really long.
We didn't even mention how's Matt getting out of this predicament that we ended the episode with?
I don't know. I have no idea.
His blood and fingerprints are everywhere, so he can't just leave, right?
Yeah. Well, but you're gonna come into a situation where somebody's going to tell on themselves. Either Matt is going to tell that he killed these guys, or they're going to have to say that they sent somebody there to kill the witness. One way or the other, it's going to be somebody having to tell on themselves if it's going to get out. So I don't know. We'll find out. But now Daredevil is a cop killer. That's the thing. So
now, are they both dead? Is one of them dead? Is there any chance neither of these guys are dead?
No, they're dead.
Laughing at that. So they're both
dead.
They're dead. Yeah.
Yeah, that's he broke his neck, right?
This is a calamity at all. The fact that we have to debate this for a review.
He slammed that guy's head into the refrigerator 4 times, and I was just like, no, he's dead. He's dead. So yeah.
So see, that's what happens when you bottle up your rage. You've got to let it out. You've got to give the hoodlums beatings on a regular interval so that you feel good with just bruising and mauling them. If you bottle it up as a Daredevil, you end up beating them to death is what happens. So you can't go a full year.
Was it me? Yeah. Did you guys notice, did they drop an F-bomb in one of these?
They did. Yes.
I was like, that got me off guard, just like Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Good job, Disney.
Yeah, it was rated MA, and so I was kind of expecting that. But yes,
it was one. It was just one.
It was just one. Yeah.
It was brave.
In the first one, I believe. The first one, right? So yeah.
I was wondering. I was like, just hear the F-bomb. Was it Karen Page?
I am managing to sit through Mother Coral without losing it. So I haven't, and she hasn't said the power of one yet. Briscoe Rob says a Scientologist with $1 billion doesn't impress me. So I don't know. What are were we talking about? Oh, Top Gun. Is that what we're talking about? The shirt? I'm not sure.
Oh,
yeah.
I was like, I couldn't figure what was going on.
Yeah, I'm wearing this in honor of our second subject, which is Reacher. This is for the other slightly miscast Reacher.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
That's why I wore the Top Gun. We don't know they died. Laugh out. That's what Jason.
Oh, they're
said.
dead.
He's also
they're
laughing at
dead,
the thought
Jason.
that they might not be dead.
Probably dead.
They're dead, Jason. They're dead.
The other thing is, like, you paint your character into that corner. They have to be dead, because if they're not dead, then they're going to bear witness to the fact that the blind guy just beat the crap out of them, and that kind of blows Matt's number one secret identity saver, is that, you know, I'm just a blind guy. I'm not some vigilante out, you know. So if he's a blind lawyer who beats the crap out of two cops, then maybe people figure out he's Daredevil. So I don't know. Do we see? I am not disappointed yet. So far, it's been okay. Let's see. I'm sorry, that triggered me. I understand. The Scientologist, you know.
Hey, man.
I always think of the my full understanding.
We're not wearing the Navy caps. We're not wearing the Navy caps, and we're not going to ask you to hold the cans here. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
But my full understanding of Scientology comes from South Park, so that's as much as I know.
Yeah. See, mine comes from the Leah Remini documentary, so I am very well versed. There you go.
Okay, but I feel like South Park really cut it down pretty good, because they had like a flashing disclaimer at the bottom that said, "This is what they actually believe."
Yeah.
About the aliens in the mountain with the spirits. But that was a fun episode because it had Tom Cruise in the closet.
Yeah,
and he wouldn't come out of the closet. They're like, Tom, come out of the closet.
Oh man.
Then they had R. Kelly come in singing about trapped in the closet. And like, I was trying to explain that to my kids because they're watching South Park. They did not get the trapped in the closet R. Kelly
at
reference.
all.
That's something that has been lost to time. Right. You've got to be like at least probably, I don't know, 38, 39 to know what trapped in the closet is, I guess, at this point. Because, you know, R. Kelly is out of the public domain for reasons. But I haven't disliked it so far. I have liked it. If I have to go 6 episodes or 7 before I get Matt being Daredevil, I'm going to start losing my patience. I need to see the Punisher pretty soon or something. We did get some fights this episode. We got the White Tiger fight, and then we got Matt's fight with the 2 cops. I felt like the choreography was pretty good with those. What did you guys think of the 2 fight scenes? Were they? You were okay.
Yeah.
Something back and forth from the fight scenes to over to the top CGI and stuff. I can't. It's just like, all right, well, what are you doing here? Which one?
I like the scene where Matt's like, you guys don't want to do this, and you're sitting there like, you know, these guys think he's scared. And I thought that was kind of funny. These guys think Matt, and he was scared, but not of what they thought. He's scared of what he's going to do to these guys, not what they're going to do to him. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So that was fun. And let's see what Jason's got. I don't know how to hog tie nobody. R. Kelly.
And on that note,
tangent tonight, guys.
Good night, everybody. Anyway, but no.
Way forward. You know, what is our worst case scenario? What is our best case scenario? For me, worst case scenario is this is a 10 episode legal procedural all about the White Tiger and who was that guy and trying to get him off, and we get an episode of Matlock or Monk or something, which, I mean, I like those shows, but I don't need Daredevil in one. So that's my worst case scenario. Best case scenario, you know, within about an episode, like by the end of next episode, he's doing Daredevil stuff and he's in the Daredevil suit, and we have Punisher and we have Muse, and that ties in with Kingpin in some way. Like he's pulling the strings, and we don't have any more couples therapy sessions. That's my best case scenario. And my worst case is that we have Matlock. What are your guys' best worst case scenarios going forward? Darren, you go first.
Go ahead.
I don't
Darren,
think it'll. I think I can see the legal procedural stuff for sure, and I think it'll just be like them dabbling in the clickbait stuff, like the Punisher and stuff, and Muse and whatnot, and we'll have a few good episodes focused, maybe not just one, but one or two on each of those characters, and with overall arching story involving the Kingpin and Matt. And yeah, I just think it's a mess still. I think it's going to be a mess. I think they're going to potentially go with what you're saying, Dan, and try to like tie in a Daredevil story with that. And well, I don't have high hopes. I try to be positive. I really do. But
yeah.
The ultimate train crashes that I can think of in my brain are train crashes that don't know what story they're telling. And that, when I think of Spider-Man 3, right? Who is the main villain in Spider-Man 3? Oh, wait, there were like 4. Okay. You had Sandman, you had Venom, you had Green Goblin, you had, right. And then, you take a look at Falcon and Winter Soldier, we just mentioned, right? When storylines get too busy and everything gets clouded and you don't know what story you're supposed to be telling and you get too distracted, putting 2 episodes on this and then another 2 episodes on this and then another 2 episodes on this and then we come back to this, it makes things way too complicated. Just give me a standard story, okay? From this point forward, Matt is Daredevil. He's back. Give me a standard story with a villain that's linear, easy to follow. That's my best case scenario. My worst case scenario is that it gets clouded and there's a lot of Kingpin, there's a lot of Muse, there's a lot of Bullseye, there's a lot of the cops with the stuff going on. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. So that would be my worst case scenario.
Yeah. You know what? I thought of a new worst case scenario. Somewhere around episode 5 or 6, right?
Okay.
We get that white tiger version that you've been talking about, Tim, the young female white tiger. Because, of course, we can't have a Disney project
without a legacy
movie or a Disney Plus show without giving us a young Avenger. Man, we got to have a young Avenger.
We don't need any more of those.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we got to have Scar. We've got to have young.
We can't even keep track of the ones we got.
Yeah. So that's my new worst case scenario that we get that. Let's see what we got here. Writers should be over 60 as a prerequisite.
Here.
Yeah, here.
Hey, man.
You're steeped in it and you know what's going on. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
That's better than all these interns they're hiring.
She-Hulk shows up. He says She-Hulk shows up.
Oh, yeah. That
would be awful. That would be awful.
That's the worst case. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, hey, while we're here, we're talking Marvel stuff before, and we will launch into Reacher. If you've been watching Reacher, if you've been watching our reviews on Reacher, we're going to launch into it as soon as we get done with this. And I know we went long, but I need reactions on the leaked Doomsday concept art. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Let me see it.
Yeah. Now, the one that really got me that is our wonderful Hulk picture with so we know that the She-Hulk is going to be in it. So everybody's got to be breathless in anticipation now because we know She-Hulk's back. The other thing, I got to ask you guys, did it look like Shrek to you? Because it looked like Shrek to me.
It didn't look good. No. I mean,
I don't think it's real. The same way the fake.
Yeah, I don't think it is either.
Like, I wouldn't put it past Marvel to leak this. Like, and it may not lead to anything, but I don't know. It could be real.
Yeah.
Just slap some stuff together.
She does look like
Jangle keys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and people got excited. People were like, "Oh, this looks great." None of it did. Any of it look like, "Oh yeah, this looks like a great way to go"? To you guys, did any of it like?
As a Secret Wars fan, I'm just like, so it's going to take place in medieval times? When did that become a thing? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Star-Lord hanging out with White Vision could be cool like that. Yeah. I saw that picture. That wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what the medieval thing is all about. That is very odd. The Ren Fair Secret Wars. So
it's just like so his son looks Scar looks all different and everything in the concept art compared to what he was in She-Hulk. So they'll just be like, well, he's from a different multiverse. That's what they do now. Like, oh, these are all characters from whatever world. We can do whatever we want.
Didn't they do like a what if in that time frame, Darren?
I think they did. I wouldn't have watched it.
In season 2, I think they did, where they were like all in that same time frame. So maybe there's some kind of a callback to that. I don't know.
1602. They were doing that was a what if
1602.
Tying in with the 1602 by
Yep.
The Marvel.
That is correct. That's what they did. Yep.
Oh, jeez.
And it wasn't very good either.
Nope. It was terrible. It was terrible. I mean, it was.
Oh,
but anyway.
When they were like, why does Jon Favreau have to keep showing up as a character in all these? Oh, everything. I'm tired of it already.
Because he started the universe. I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? The dude started the universe. So I can't get mad that he wants to be in everything. But yeah, I mean, all right, whatever. All right. Come on, man.
Fair enough.
Well, again, this universe, if you're me and Tim have always said this universe needs wrapped up. It's time to reboot and start over. They're missing their opportunity. Like this Fantastic Four is their biggest movie this year. And it's not set in the same, like every indication is it has nothing to do with the
period piece. Yep.
It's a period piece and not a period piece
in a different universe.
It's a period piece in a different universe. So
what's going on?
This was your reboot. Like you could have just dropped some stuff.
It was right there.
Right there.
It was right there. Right there. That was the end. I mean, we're done.
Reed is a very smart man. There's cosmic space stuff all throughout the Fantastic Four canon. It was right there to do a reboot.
They wanted to make the Silver Surfer a girl, so they have to do it this way.
It's
I
just
said
so
it.
silly.
I don't care.
So
anyway. Everybody's got to be.
Anyway,
it's so disappointing.
We've drawn on, and we still have to talk Reachers. So
anyway, Darren, all right, we'll see you next time.
I'm gonna catch up on Reacher right now, actually. So maybe I'll watch this show tomorrow.
All right,
hey, good deal.
M6P, the M6P is here on YouTube. They're everywhere. All right, thanks for dropping in, man.
See you, Darren. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thanks. All right,
cool.
So let's go back up here to some of these comments we had about Reacher.
While you're looking at that, I'll kind of recap the episode for everybody. So basically, you know, we got to the point where we left off last week. The guys were going into the warehouse to kill Duffy and Villanueva because they had been tracking Angel Dog's laptop. But actually, Reacher is able to call and get a hold of Elliot. Elliot is able to call the warehouse and let them know that the men are on their way. So they're able to get their guns out and everything before the guys get there. With the help of Reacher, they are able to kill most of the guys, and Reacher leaves one of the guys alive so that he can pretend like everything's fine when they go back to the guys. But still, they recover the laptop, and still, you know, they have to dump the bodies and all that kind of stuff. And then what else happens, Dan, when we get there?
Well, you've got the
so Elliot ends up.
So the bodyguard gets away. Reacher has to coordinate with her partner, the Indian guy.
He kills Elliot.
Car, block the road, and the bodyguard comes, and he has to stop for the car, and they kill him, and they get rid of him. The episode opens, of course, with they're getting the drop on Duffy and him.
Yeah.
And of course, Reacher has to show up to save the day. Get them out of there clear. He kills everybody. Duffy manages to get one. He gets one of the three. Duffy gets one. They leave the last one alive to not completely blow Reacher's cover.
Yeah.
They do have to dump that, and we get a lot of exposition about dumping people in this area to carry them out. The excuse for Reacher to stop the bodyguard is he has Duffy kill the power. That results in McCabe / Quinn making them toss the house, and Reacher has Duffy's badge, so we get that whole tense thing. Are they going to find the badge? He sends the bodyguard away. The power comes back on. They have found that there is a leak in the house. We found something, and Reacher, you get that whole tense moment where Reacher thinks maybe they found the badge, but it's not the badge. They found out that the maid was a spy, and Paulie has killed her because Paulie is an idiot, and they drag her out. And now we're going to end the episode with Reacher going to see Quinn / McCabe. He's walking into maybe a trap. We don't know what's happening. I think that's that. We got it all right. That we didn't leave any.
That's pretty much it. So yeah. So all right, so let's go back up to the comments here, see what we got. But
because Elliot's death was predictable.
Yeah.
I mean, they kept leaving him alone with the bodyguards. So
I mean, and he was the scrawny guy. I mean, there is no semblance of an agent in that young man. I don't care what Duffy says, to his dad. He was an excellent agent. No, he was not. Okay. He was a terrible agent. He was a kid that was way in over his head in everything that he was doing. So it was probably the most predictable death of the entire season so far.
Now I will say the whole sequence with flipping the car and stopping the bodyguards, that's out of the book. That happens in the books. The bodyguards get loose. Elliot, and I don't know if his name is Elliot in the book, but there's 3 people on Duffy's team. An old guy, a young guy, and her. If the young guy is not named Elliot in the book, I'm sorry, readers with better retention skills than me that I don't remember. You can get in the comments and call me old and forgetful. That's fine. But anyway, I don't think he gets killed in the book. I think that they either I sort of vaguely remember they had to let the bodyguards go because they had held them too long with no reason.
Gotcha.
Either that or they did escape, but nobody got killed. This is starting to strain the credulity for Duffy a little bit. I'm feeling like, because she's running an off-book investigation where she's got a captured CI.
Yeah, and I had a question about that. So, after Elliot gets killed, there are several units that respond, right? I mean,
right.
And she has to explain to somebody why this kid was killed in this safe house, right? I mean, she can't make up any implausible excuse. I mean, she has to give a reason, so she has to tell on herself, right? I mean, but she apparently has not. I'm curious. Right. She hasn't lost her job. She hasn't been arrested. She hasn't any of those things. So,
what were you
what's
doing
going on here?
House? Why is he here? What are you investigating?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a man is dead because of you. We got to have a couple questions about that. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, I mean, so what was the story that she told the dad? What was that? Some kind of a drug ring. He got killed in some kind of a drug ring, blah, 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 something or other.
Maybe he passed that off, but I don't see that working. I don't know. So Duffy's badge not being found when it was in the flipping pillowcase was super unrealistic. They were in his room and they cut 3 pillows all the way open.
Well, and not only that, but they showed it dangling off the bed, you could see it dangling out of the pillowcase. Did you see that? And no, I was just if I was a guy that was looking for something and I saw the pillowcase dangling off the bed, I would say that's probably something that we should look at. So that was kind of weird.
And why didn't he bring it with him to give?
I don't know. I mean, I guess if you get searched, you'd rather not have it on you. You'd rather say, "Oh, I didn't put that there." I mean, but the pillowcase is the most ridiculous place that a guy like Reacher would have put something. That's
he sets up this whole thing. Duffy, you knock out the power. I'm going to drive the car to the end of the road. I'm going to meet the other agent, and it's
I mean,
you know what? I should bring the badge with me and give it to him. You know,
I absolutely. Let's just talk about Reacher's room for a second. When he goes into his room to hide it, there were 1,000 places he could hide it that they would never find it, and that's why I just, open an AC vent and stuff it up there, and maybe shove it in between the drywall, whatever, something.
Yeah.
But there, you don't just put it in a pillowcase, for crying out loud. I mean,
put it in the toilet tank.
Yeah, put it somewhere, but not there. Anyway.
Yeah. Jason, R.I.P. Elliot. Yes.
Absolutely.
We hardly knew you.
Yeah. Doogie agent. Yeah.
Let's see. Mentions flipping pillow. Okay, were we right here? Another episode that seemed really tense on a page. It seemed super slow on screen.
I thought there were tense moments. I thought there were pretty tense moments.
Yeah, the whole car flipping thing played out really well in the book. But I think it was good.
The opening sequence in the warehouse was really good. And there were a few tense moments, I thought, for the most part. It wasn't necessarily, action, like nonstop blowing stuff up and all that, but it was still very good, I thought.
Yeah. I feel like this was a faster paced episode with the action at the top, getting out of the warehouse. We had the we got Reacher getting knocked down by Paulie. We got the whole car flipping and shooting the bodyguard. We got the bodyguard killing Elliot. So we had a lot going on this episode. Let's see. Paulie 1, Reacher 0. Actually that did happen.
Well, no, and I had a question about that too. I mean, and I'm not a guy that has read the books, but I have read similar books before, right? I mean, I've read James Bond, and I've read Sherlock Holmes before. When they let somebody hit them like that, sometimes they're like testing to find out how hard does this guy hit, or when he hits him and it doesn't seem to do much, he's actually prodding for a weakness. Is that something that is typical of Reacher, like in the books, that he does, or not? Or is this just he honestly thought he could just punch this guy and he didn't? I don't know.
Well, no, Paulie is more of a situation where he knows, like Reacher knows, that this is a tree to climb. This is going to be, I got an axe here. I'm going to have to hack away. He knows that this isn't going to end in one thing. So I think it does surprise him how bad the punch hurt, because Reacher's a tough dude. He can take a punch.
Yeah.
And so the how hard Paulie hits was kind of surprising, I believe, in the book too. Jason does have a good theory that they found the maid's phone before they found the badge.
Yeah.
So that is a good one. And I will say, in the book, the maid, they do find her phone, and there is a tense moment where you believe, they call Reacher to the office. They're talking about how they found a spy, and Reacher thinks they're talking about him, and find out they're talking about the maid. In the book, Paulie doesn't kill the maid. The maid gets away. Like she leaves. Okay. Like she knows some shit's going down, and she gets out of town, and then they find the phone shortly after she's gone. And I thought that Paulie let it out, and I made a note of it, but I wasn't gonna bring it up. When Paulie lets out that they're ATF, in the book, when Reacher finds out that the maid was a government agent of some kind, he gets mad at what's her name, the DEA,
Duffy. Yeah,
he gets mad at her because he thinks that she's there for her too. He's like, if you got other people here, I need to know how many assets are you running in here.
Mm-hmm.
Is what is the exchange he has with Duffy when he finds out about the maid in the book. And they don't figure out that she's ATF until almost the end of the book. It takes a long time before they realize that girl is ATF and that they're running guns, not drugs. Because they didn't make a big deal out of it in their show. But when Duffy finds out that they're running guns and they're running no drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is she running an off-book investigation, she's got no jurisdiction here.
She's got no jurisdiction at all. Yeah.
She's got no dog in the hunt.
Yeah.
He is in the Drug Enforcement Agency.
Yeah. The ATF is the
the
ATF is the agency
FBI,
that deals with firearms. So
the FBI, local law enforcement, maybe even the CIA, because this stuff is coming from out overseas. But trust me, the DEA has no standing here. And like she takes it pretty hard in the book when she finds that out. In the show, it's just kind of like, oh, hey, alphabet soup. We're all looking for something. You just glossed over the fact that you
have no jurisdiction at all.
Yeah.
In the investigation that just got your agent killed,
Yeah. And maybe your CI is maybe dead and your agent is absolutely.
Oh, and that's the other thing. Reacher just tells her she's dead. Forget it. She's dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
Okay. Where am I at? Hold on.
No, that was Muse. You're way back in the comments.
I went too far.
You did. You went way too far.
Joe Reacher meets Quinn. Where are we at here? Paulie 1, Reacher 0, and then we go. I still don't get why you guys love this show. Reacher meets Quinn right away next episode. How can they drag this out for 3 more episodes? I'm again going to refer back to people with greater reader comprehension and memory than me.
Yeah.
I don't remember if this happens in the book or what happens when this happens in the book. I mean,
they've mentioned that there could be some memory loss, or I don't know. That would seem like a pretty convenient thing, but I don't know. We'll see. So yeah.
The ambulance has to be in full effect for him to get out of it. Because
absolutely.
I mean, Reacher is not a guy that you
forget. Nope.
Yeah. Even if he's the kind of dude you forget, you don't forget anybody that shot you in the head with a 22 and let you fall into a frozen river. You don't forget that unless you've forgotten everything. So
yeah.
R.I.P. to the only hot character left. Our boob chance just decreased significantly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Duffy's not bad looking, but I think that short of some Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor stuff going on with her and Reacher, I just don't think the opportunity is going to be there. So yes, I believe that the maid was probably the only opportunity that we were going to get there. So we will just move past that.
Yeah, and I knew, and in the book, he does not hook up with the maid. I will
so there you go.
I know there was speculation from I think Tim and others that the maid, or I don't remember who was speculating that, but the maid was not the love interest in the book, and she was an ATF agent in the book. So Villanova talking about retirement almost guarantees his death. Heck, he even said it.
So, he did. He even said it. Hey, I'm talking about retirement. It'll be
if you call out the trope, is that a reason not to do this? The trope, though,
that's true.
Yeah. Where are we at? We got Jason just said, I think it's not really Quinn. Okay. Yeah.
McCabe and Quinn might still be 2 different people. Reacher has made the assumption that they're not. So that is true. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then again, if McCabe is Quinn, maybe they're supposed to meet him, but it's some other lieutenant. He's not really there. It's some other guy. Yeah. There are ways to get in here, and it's not the be all end all that you thought it was. So I don't know. All in all, I feel like this episode was more fast paced and action. I feel like they are finding ways to pack more conflicts and fights into this show than there were in that book. But in doing that, some of it's falling apart. Elliot dying and Duffy being able to continue this off-book investigation, especially when she finds out that she has there's no pot of gold at the end of this rainbow for Duffy. Nope. There's no big drug bust. None of that is going to happen. She's got no jurisdiction over anything.
This is all about Teresa for her right now, and that's it. But the big thing is she really now has no reason to continue to go after Teresa with her job. Okay, she's going to have to do it off the books, completely, and because she has no plausible deniability anymore. There's no more, oh, well, I was just doing my own investigation. No, you're doing this because of Teresa, and that's it. So anyway.
You figured out that they're running guns. You know that they're running guns, and
you know that an ATF agent just got killed. I mean, and if you don't tell the ATF, I mean, how bad is this going to be for you?
I feel like she has a legal obligation to contact the ATF and tell them what she knows.
I think so.
And so, she is in all kinds of just like deep.
Oh, she's going to jail. She won't care, but she's going to jail. There's just no doubt. I mean, people have died because of this, and so she's going to jail for it. But it's just a matter of whether or not she just wants to find Teresa safe, and she doesn't even care, and she said that. So
in increasing the action, I feel like they've strained the book plot. Didn't strain quite this much because they didn't figure out it was guns till much later. Another thing that comes up is that stupid having the dog there, so they got to give you a line of dialogue about how the dog couldn't smell guns. And I think most police dogs can smell ammo. I mean, gunpowder is also something that, like, dogs at ports don't just smell drugs and cadavers. They are trained to smell all of the things. Dogs can smell cancer in your body and diagnose you. They can smell guns. They can smell gun oil. They can smell black powder. They can smell guns, guys. So the idea that this was the best police dog in all of police dog history, and he didn't smell those guns. In the book, they unrolled every rug and put them back in the same order, and that's why it was tense getting back on the road, and there was nothing there. It really was a loyalty test. So we didn't need a line about how the dog can't smell guns, because I feel like that's another thing that strained the credibility a little bit. Like, no, police dogs can smell guns, especially drug guns in that quantity, so
Something for Jason here. He says the guy who was dumping bodies starred in Goosebumps, and he thought that was cool. So
I didn't know that. We got another one here. Tim, I think there is something in your eye.
No, actually, this is something that's very well known to most people that know me. I have white eyelashes. So it looks like I have something in my eye, but I do not have something in my eye. So yes, but when you're looking at me, it looks weird from this far back. But as you get up close, you can see this is what I'm known for. Everybody who knows me has known this since I was 3 years old. I'm the guy with the white eyelashes. So it's pretty crazy, man. So yeah. Most people get tattoos. This is what I get for my life. Okay.
Just looking out for you, Tim.
Yeah, I know.
Just in case of pink eye, like in
I know.
Only Murders in the Building. Yeah. But I mean, I know we're picking it apart. I did enjoy the episode. Let's see.
Nah, you're not
sorry.
Hey,
no.
It is hard to hurt my feelings, man. Don't worry about it. I can take it just like anybody, and it's all good. I know you're not trying to be mean. It's all good. We appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for tuning in. But yeah, I don't know. What was your overall feeling for the episode? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did it?
I still like this season. I would say of the 3 seasons, this one's probably my least favorite so far. And I think the reason for that is just because it is a little bit more slow paced, and it is a little bit more kind of setting stuff up instead of the action constantly. But I do like it. I don't think that it's a bad show by any stretch of the imagination. This is still far superior to a lot of the stuff that we've seen on Disney Plus. So I'm still enjoying it. I think it's very good.
Even though I'm enjoying Born Again so far, 2 episodes in, I feel like I'm enjoying Reacher more. Still, even I have less worries about Reacher going somewhere dumb and not Reacher. Reacher is going to do Reacher stuff. Like there's going to be
for sure.
action. There's going to be fights. Reacher's going to be smart. It's not going to go, Reacher's not going to have an episode of Matlock. That's not going to happen, So
definitely.
I was thinking of books that I would like to see him cover. And even though I am wearing this in honor of our other Reacher, I've never watched either of those movies. And I did realize today in researching two of the books that I really like and think would make good episodes or good seasons, were already adapted into those movies. So those are off the table. So I got to think of some other ones that are really cool. Yeah, there's one with like an abandoned military base and a big bomb. That's kind of cool. Can't remember what it's called.
At some point, I think this is going to get to the point where it's like James Bond, where they don't have to do it adapted. They can just do originals and people will run with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's something that they're going to feel like it's realistic for this guy to have done this many times, So that's kind of where it kind of falls apart. I think is in book, it's different. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with Bond. It's different when it's in book, but when it's a season that you're watching and then you watch another season and another one and another one, and you're thinking to yourself, how could this one guy have fallen into every single one of these situations? That's where it kind of falls apart a little bit. So, but yeah, I think right now, I know that there's plenty of these books left. I don't think they have to adapt anymore. I think they could just do original and people would be okay with it. It's just whether or not the original material would be as captivating. So
now one good thing about this season tied into that is that he doesn't just fall into this adventure. This adventure is directly related to his history with being an MP. This was a case he worked when he was still in the military, and this is an individual that he pursued, as opposed to when he just rolls into town and finds trouble. Jason said they are not good movies. They're good books. They pick some of the better books. I hate to hear that they messed up those plots by making bad movies. I can't remember. I think it was the second movie from what I read. The plot with the assassin, the sniper, that's a really good book. I think it's Nothing to Lose or something like that. They turned it into the movie, but it's very good. It opens with a sniper in a parking garage across from an office building at 5:00. It takes out 6 people as they're leaving work. And the guy who gets arrested for it is a former military sniper. And he's going into coma. But before he goes into coma, he says, "I need Jack Reacher." And Jack Reacher comes in, and Reacher actually investigated this guy and was prosecuting him for crimes he committed while in Iraq. So even though he's in a coma, Reacher's like, "Why did this guy call for me? This guy is guilty. This guy's a bad guy." And you got to figure it out. And it really sets up a fun story. No spoilers for the movie, the book, or any future episodes. I'm not going any deeper, but it's a really good book.
He'll be too busy playing Batman. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's
Travis, we talked about Daredevil for like an hour, man.
Daredevil
we talked about it for way too long, actually. So go back and from the very beginning and watch us and Darren. We pontificated about it for way too long. So go ahead.
Yeah, we did. We went on it for a long time, but we started with Daredevil. Yeah. What do we got here?
I'm always late.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay, man. It's all right.
Yeah, it's okay. But but we're on to the Reacher, and so it is weird, but they're still writing Reacher books. Like Lee Child got tired and is having his brother write them now.
Yeah. That's what happened with Bourne too. Like at some point, Bourne just, it started branching off into other authors and all that kind of stuff. And it's like you had a whole bunch of authors, a whole bunch of books that were already written on the Bourne series. And then they just kept going and going. And so, yeah, it's kind of been, it's very interesting that, that when these series get popular, that's just what they do. They just keep going.
And it's something like Lee Child. Let's see, how close does the show follow the books? This season is only got minor discrepancies from the book that it is based on. The book is
the Persuader. Yeah.
And so far, all of the discrepancies from the book are minor. So I would say it follows it pretty close this season. I watched the first season and then didn't read the book for over a year. So like by the time I started reading the books after I watched the first season, by the time I was reading the book, my memories of the show were fuzzy. So it seemed very similar to me. I do know that there are differences. The second season is very similar to the book. They changed the locations. I think it went from the West Coast to the East Coast. And some of the helicopters were different sizes and stuff like that. But all in all, they follow really closely to the books. And so far, they do change some things enough to that if you've read it, you can still have a few surprises baked in, which I feel is a good thing to do with most things. Now, if you're dealing with a literary thing that's beloved for years, like you're adapting Lord of the Rings, you have to have differences just to make it work. And you don't want to build in surprises for the sake of it. But if you're doing Reacher, which is a thriller, I feel like if you want to make the fans happy, you have to change a little bit so you can still have surprises. Otherwise.
Yeah, and I feel like season 1 really dipped in with not just saying everything in the book, but showing everything as well. Season 2 and 3 have not been that way. So I think that's kind of maybe the main difference is they kind of pulled back, and Dan and I had talked about how maybe they pulled back a little bit in season 2 and 3, thinking that maybe this is something that would be like rerun on network TV eventually, or not network TV, but cable TV eventually, so. So there has been a little bit of a pulling back since season 1. Season 1 is nothing that you could air on TNT at 11 o'clock at night. Okay. But seasons 2 and 3, I think you could. So anyway.
Yeah, the violence and the violence has been toned down in the second and third. And I think actually, you know what? There was nudity in the first season. And
not in the second season.
Was not in the second, was there? There wasn't, right?
No, there was not in the second season.
So there probably won't be in this season. It doesn't look like. And again, the violence was a lot more over the top in the first season than the second two. So they're gradually toning things down. Again, it just makes it easier.
I mean, there was a naked dude nailed to the wall that had been murdered in season 1. I mean, that's something that is completely, it was the goriest thing that we've seen in the series, and we haven't seen anything like it since. But seasons 2 and 3, they didn't even come close to touching anything like that. You know what I mean? And that's like completely different than anything that we've seen since. So I feel like, the accuracy might not be as close, but it's almost, I think the reason they did it is like we were talking about before. So,
yeah. So, but I do think that it's going in a good direction. I am far enough away from reading the book that either they've changed it or I've forgotten it. So I'm getting some surprises along the way. I did look it up to be sure that the maid didn't get killed in the book, because I was fairly sure she hadn't been. And I still don't remember if the junior agent got killed in the book. So I don't know.
Yeah. And I think one of the weird things about, this moving forward now is going to be kind of like what we were talking about before. This meeting, you said you don't really remember this meeting in the book either. This particular one where we're going to be there with McCabe / Quinn, and we don't know if it's him or if we're going to be meeting somebody else or if they're actually two different people this whole time and Reacher was wrong. I don't know. So we're going to find out. So
yeah. But so far, it's a good season. It's a good show. It's solid. You can depend on it to give you some high action and thrills. I don't have worries that it's going to take some odd direction. It's not going to introduce some strange character. So we're on firmer footing than we are with a Disney Marvel project. But, that being said, me and Tim are both okay so far. We've both, I feel like you enjoyed the second episode of Born Again, right?
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed both episodes. I'm just being cautious because Disney Plus has looped me in before. So I'm being cautious, but we'll see. But Reacher, I almost, I've loved every season of Reacher beginning to end. So I'm not just cautious. It would take a lot to disappoint me right now. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we got, let's see. I thought Elliot's death was a cool spot. Yeah. The breathing fire, I think they did that well. It looked real. It didn't look CG. I feel like they did a good job with that. Trevor said, I thought Daredevil started off well. Yeah, we're
off to a good start. That's the way I think that we've all said it.
The direction of the plot makes me feel like I can imagine the bad ways that they can go with this,
Yeah.
But maybe they won't. I can imagine good ones too, and maybe that's where they will go. It's just that Disney continues to hurt us and they seem to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we covered it. Did you have any other observations about the episodes or any of the other stuff that we?
I'm good, buddy. I think we pretty much have talked both of them to death, but ultimately I think both are going to be very good. Next week, we will only be doing Reacher on this channel. We will be reviewing Daredevil on Bonebridger's channel on Tuesday. So if anybody wants to see our Daredevil review, it will go ahead and follow at Bonebridger. He is all over the YouTubes, and he has way more followers than we will ever hope to find. But go ahead and find him, and you will find us there on Tuesday night for Daredevil. We will be back here next Thursday for Reacher. So, so that's where you'll find us for our Reacher review.
If you came for Bonebridger totally intended to come. We are sorry. We were not trying to pull the wool over your eye. But he's got a young child. The child has been staying up all night, and Bonebridger needs to get some sleep. If you were there on Tuesday, you witnessed that Bonebridger is tired. He's reaching his end of his endurance. For sure. This. The baby is not letting him sleep. So you find him there. You'll find us there on Tuesday. We'll be back Thursday. Find Darren at the M6P. They're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X. They're on all the places. Jason, who had some internet problems tonight, is on Instagram. That's where you'll find Jason. I think it's Jason Colt, and then there's a number.
Oh, Dan, you muted yourself.
I muted myself. I think I knocked my microphone loose.
Okay. Oh, there you go, Dan.
Let's see. Leave audio.
I can hear you. Yep. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So yeah, Jason is on the Instagram primarily is where you'd find him. And Travis in the comments, who was going to try to join in with some Daredevil maybe live, is on Bill with Travis. So that's where you find all of our friends on the wide world of the internet. And again, we will see you on Tuesday on Bonebridger.
Take care.
Take care.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks. There we go.